النهاردة هنغوص في نص أدبي كده بياخدنا في رحلة نفسية بصراحة مش سهلة.
رحلة عن إزاي نظرة واحد لبيته، لأصله، حتى لشغله ممكن تتقلب تماماً.
بالظبط، بعد ما بيتعرض لتجارب جديدة أو ناس جديدة بتخليه يشوف حياته القديمة دي بنظرة تانية خالص، يمكن نظرة مؤلمة شوية.
فعلاً، والنص اللي معانا ده بيركز قوي على الصراع الداخلي ده. شخصية غالباً شاب بتحس فجأة بالخجل من جذورها، من بيتها ومن شغلها المتواضع.
بعد ما كان شايفهم زمان حاجة تانية خالص.
تمام. التغيير ده شكله مرتبط باحتكاكه بعالم مختلف، طبقة أعلى يمكن، وتحديداً شخصيات زي مس هافشام وإستيلا.
دول ليهم تأثير كبير واضح.
بالظبط، فإحنا هنحاول نفهم إزاي التحول ده حصل وإيه اللي وراه بالظبط.
طيب خلينا نبدأ بأول حتة واضحة قوي، الخجل من البيت. النص بيوصف إحساس صعب، المكان اللي كان زمان مقدس في عينه.
خصوصاً عشان جو الشخص الطيب الأصيل ده.
تمام، الصالون كان مكان مبهر بالنسبة له، والورشة كانت رمز للمستقبل والاستقلال.
بس الموضوع اتقلب. النص بيقول في خلال سنة واحدة بس.
سنة واحدة؟
بقى شايف كل ركن في البيت خشن وعادي ومبتذل. يعني خلاص النظرة القديمة دي راحت.
والأصعب إنه ما بقاش قادر يخلي الناس الجديدة دي تشوف المكان.
بالظبط، عنده رعب إن مس هافشام أو بالذات استيلا يشوف البيت ده. ده بيورينا قد إيه هو تبنى معايير تانية خالص، معايير الطبقة الجديدة دي.
بالأصعب كمان إنه عارف إن التغيير ده جواه هو، يعني مش بيرمي اللوم وخلاص.
صح، بيقول بصراحة مش مهم مين السبب، أنا، هي، أختي، المهم إن التحول ده حصل خلاص.
وده اعتراف بيوضح قد إيه هو في ورطة نفسية، مش عارف يرجع زي الأول.
والنقطة دي بتدخلنا في حتة تانية مهمة، خيبة أمله في شغله بقى، التدريب المهني ده.
اللي كان زمان حلمه.
بالظبط، كان فاكر إن الشغل في الورشة مع جو ده قمة السعادة والتميز،
لكن الواقع طلع مختلف
قوي. حس إنه متكتف ومتطرب بتراب الفحم كده، شايل هم أكبر بكتير من المطرقة والصندون. يعني الموضوع بقى تقيل قوي على قلبه.
الوصف بتاعه للإحساس ده قوي جدا بصراحة. بيقول كأن ستارة سميكة نزلت على حياته، قفلت أي نور أو متعة.
فعلا المستقبل بقى ضلمة بالنسبة له،
لدرجة إنه بيشبه حالته النفسية بالمستنقعات اللي جنبهم، كئيبة ومسطحة.
تشبيه صعب قوي، بيوري قد إيه اليأس مسيطر عليه.
بس الغريب بقى إنه وسط كل الإحباط ده بيعترف بفضل حد تاني عليه.
نقطة جو دي مهمة. بيقول إنه مكمل في الشغلانة دي عشان جو، مش عشان هو.
مش عشان هو مخلص يعني؟
لا خالص، عشان جو هو اللي مخلص ومجتهد وراضي. هنا التناقض بيبقى واضح جدا
بين جو البسيط الراضي وبينه هو اللي طموحه بقى سخط كده وعدم رضا.
بالظبط، وده بيودينا يمكن لأكبر مخاوفه،
استيلا.
تمام، رعبه كله إن استيلا تشوفه وهو شغال في الورشة بالمنظر ده، وشه ودي كلها فحم.
كان خايف تشوفه في وضعه المتواضع ده فتزيد بقى في احتقاره أو تشمت فيه. هي بتمثل النظرة اللي بقى بيخاف منها دي.
والموضوع مش مجرد خوف عادي، ده بقى هاجس. يعني بيتخيل إنه بيلمح وشها بيبصله من الشباك.
يا خبر.
بنظرة احتقار كده، أو صورتها بتظهر له في النار بتاعت الورشة.
الخوف ده بيزود إحساسه بالعار أكتر وأكتر.
طبعا، من نفسه ومن شغله ومن بيته. حتى لما بيرجعوا البيت بالليل عشان العشاء بيحس إن كل حاجة شكلها أبسط وأفقر من اللازم، كأن عينيها هي اللي بتقيم كل حاجة.
في النص ده بيرسم لنا صورة واضحة جدا للصراع الداخلي ده، صراع بين الولاء القديم لجو وللبيت وبين الطموحات الجديدة اللي جابت معاها القلق والخجل الاجتماعي ده.
بالظبط، وهنا بقى ممكن نسيب سؤال للمستمع يفكر فيه شوية. لحد فين نظرتنا لحياتنا، لبيوتنا، لشغلنا بتتأثر مش بالواقع نفسه قد ما بتتأثر بنظرة ناس تانية بنخاف منها أو بنبقى عايزين نعجبهم؟ يعني في حالة الشاب ده الخوف من حكم استيلا كان هو المحرك الأساسي لكل مشاعر الخجل والرفض دي.
سؤال فعلا يستحق التفكير.
Welcome. You're listening because you want to go deeper, right? To really understand things without getting bogged down. That's exactly what we aim for here. Today we're taking a close look at how our feelings about where we come from, about home, can well, dramatically change. It's all about shifting self-perception.
That's right. And we're using a piece of fiction, it's actually just a chapter, as our guide. It gives us a really powerful way to look at how this narrator's relationship with his home and himself evolves.
So our mission, if you like, is to dig into why. Why does this place that meant so much suddenly become a source of shame for him?
And what does that reveal about how these feelings work, inside us?
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The narrator initially paints this, well, pretty positive picture of his home life, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, there's his sister's temper, which is kind of a constant.
Yes, a fiery constant.
But then there are other things, especially his brother-in-law, Joe. Joe's influence seems really central to that positive feeling.
He actually says Joe sanctified the home. That's a strong word.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, what was it about Joe? Maybe his steadiness, his honest work ethic.
Like a moral compass for the boy.
Perhaps, yeah. And it grounds the whole home. And then flowing from that, we get these incredibly vivid descriptions he uses.
Right. It's like the rooms aren't just rooms. The best parlor, it's an elegant saloon.
Mm-hmm.
The front door is this grand, mysterious portal of the Temple of State.
Linked to roast chickens as a sacrifice.
Exactly. And the kitchen, even that's a chaste, though not magnificent apartment, he elevates everything.
And the forge, crucially, that's the glowing road to manhood and independence. It's not just work.
It's like he's built this personal mythology around his home, isn't it?
Definitely. A foundation story. But then somehow, within just a year, it all starts to, crumble.
And the feeling driving him. Shame. He's very direct about it. It is the most miserable thing to feel ashamed of home.
That's such a powerful shift from elegant saloon and glowing road. Now suddenly those same places are just coarse and common.
So what sparks that? What makes him feel it so intensely?
Well, a huge factor seems to be his exposure to a different world. Think Miss Havisham and Estella.
Oh, right. He wants to hide his home from them.
Exactly, which suggests he's comparing, right? He's seeing his background against what he perceives as, more refined.
It's a social comparison thing, seeing a gap and feeling inadequate.
Precisely, and it's tied to the specific people who represent that other world.
Yeah.
He starts to internalize that feeling of being somehow less.
But what's interesting is he recognizes it's not just them or external things.
Yes. He kind of waves away the blame game, his fault, Miss Havisham's, whoever. He says it's now of no moment.
The key thing is the change was made in me.
That's a really striking bit of self-awareness, isn't it? Why do you think he focuses on that internal shift?
Maybe it shows him starting to understand that our perceptions are, filtered through ourselves. The outside world might trigger it, but the change takes root inside.
And that then directly hits how he sees his future, especially the apprenticeship.
Yeah, that glowing road we mentioned.
It's gone. Now it's just feeling dusty with the dust of small coal. That hope of being distinguished and happy working with Joe.
Replaced by feeling burdened.
Yeah.
Diminished.
Mm-hmm. And he uses that metaphor, the thick curtain falling on life's interest in romance, specifically regarding the apprenticeship.
It's a deep disillusionment, isn't it? More than just disappointment. That path he thought was his future just closes off emotionally.
It makes you think about that gap between expectation and reality when you enter the real world.
Definitely. And later, he reflects on this feeling, connecting his inner state to the landscape. That's powerful, too.
Those Sunday visits to the churchyard, he literally compares his own feelings, feeling flat and low, to the windy marsh view.
It's like the outside mirrors the inside. Bleakness reflecting bleakness.
And that sense of an unknown future, unknown way, and a dark mist, and then the sea. It captures that loss of hope, of direction.
But through all this inner turmoil, he sticks with the apprenticeship. He says he never breathed a murmur to Joe.
There's a resilience there, quiet endurance.
Yeah, but he's honest about where it comes from.
Right. He doesn't credit himself. He says it was all down to Joe. Joe's faithfulness and industry.
He sees the impact of this amiable, honest-hearted, duty-doing man.
It's a huge acknowledgement. He realizes any good he got from that time came from Joe, from his character. What does that suggest about how the narrator's own values might be shifting?
Maybe he's starting to see worth beyond just status or appearances, recognizing Joe's quiet integrity, something he feels he lacks with his restlessly aspiring, discontented feelings.
Which loops back, doesn't it, to Estella and that intense fear he has about her judgment.
Oh yeah, that fear is almost physical. dreading her seeing him at the forge all grimy and communist.
It's not just about being dirty, is it? It's about being seen for who he really is in his everyday reality and being despised for it.
He imagines her exulting over him, looking down on him.
That image of seeing her face in the forge fire while he's working, pulling the bellows, it's chilling.
Or imagining her watching him through the windows. These aren't just fleeting thoughts, they really grip him.
And they absolutely affect how he feels day to day.
He says after those moments, his home, his food, everything looks more homely look than ever.
But not in a good way. Not cozy. It's homely as in, well, common. Basic. Shameful.
Reinforcing that inadequacy.
Deepening the shame in his ungracious breast, as he puts it. Her imagined judgment just feeds his own inner critic.
So pulling it all together, it's this really profound and, frankly, painful shift. Home goes from being sacred, foundational,
To being this source of intense shame.
driven by new aspirations, yes, but really fueled by this fear of judgment, especially from Estella, who represents that higher status he now seems to crave.
Exactly. The contrast is so stark between that initial innocent perspective and this later painful self-consciousness. Being exposed to that other world forces a reevaluation.
And it leads to this deeply damaging shame about his own roots.
It really does make you think, doesn't it, about how outside pressures, our own ambitions, can totally reshape how we feel about where we started, our own sense of worth.
What are those home truths for us? You know, the core parts of our background that might get challenged or reframed as we grow and encounter different people, different ideas.
That's definitely something to ponder. How do those outside forces change your view of home and self? Something to chew on after our deep dive today.